These wicked spirits are the beings the human elite worship and serve. Their god is Satan, and the works of their god they will do. He was a murderer from the very beginning and did not abode in the truth. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for Satan is a liar and the father of it. It should be of little surprise, then, that his children would be the same.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb.
Nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapon.
Active chemical munitions bunkers, mobile production facilities.
We know he's got chemical weapons.
Just like Lucifer's tactics, these human puppets of Satan hide themselves from the light and cloak their real agenda by diversion and deliberate misinformation. Their goal is to carry out their Lord's designs, and they manipulate the world population to go along with them through what is best described as the problem, reaction, and solution ploy. They first create a problem, and then blame it on their enemies, whoever they may be, as being the cause of that problem. This causes a reaction in the people, who then demand they do something about it. Then, the Luciferian elite pose as our saviors and rescuers, introducing and carrying out their God's evil plans as their solution to the very problems they themselves deliberately engineered with Satan's inspiration. The goal is to prepare the way for the Antichrist, the beast of Revelation chapter 13, the literal incarnation of Satan himself inhabiting the body of a man. This is the reason for the conspiracy of the select few manipulating the many, a ruthless worldwide conspiracy that involves politics, entertainment, economics, science, and education, as well as religion, into a highly organized mechanism for driving the vast majority of people away from the God who created them and right into the hands of Lucifer, where through the cogs and wheels of the elitists, men, women, and children will all worship and serve the beast.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silent, not praised.
So when we heard that some enterprising characters had managed to spy on the famous Skull and Bones Society, well, we couldn't resist. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court, From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull. Then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
True. Famous alums include senators John Kerry and John Chafee, to name two, cabinet secretaries such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush, and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games.
Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Edgar Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America.
The great deceiver, Satan, has worked methodically for thousands of years through very specific bloodlines, who have sworn allegiance to him in exchange for wealth and power over the human race. The final goal for Lucifer is total control and total enslavement through control of religion, ideology, economics, and technology, to prepare the world for the ultimate and final lying wonder with all deceivableness. Jesus said, "As in the day of Noah, so too in the day of the coming of the Son of Man." We have always had violence and wickedness, but something unique for Noah's time was that the sons of God, fallen angels, came down from the heavens unto the daughters of men. Could it be we are on the verge of another visitation, where these wicked angels will present themselves as our cosmic brothers, responsible for our creation, and introduce themselves on a platform of peace to save us from ourselves, keep us from destroying one another, and promise to lead us into a golden age of evolutionary progress into godhood? Or perhaps the shadow elite is in possession of technologies they will use to create the illusion of the second coming, and then introduce the world to the Antichrist, Lucifer, positing himself as Jesus Christ himself. In these last days we must be vigilant and sober-minded. And above all, little children, be not deceived.